Amazing. Everybody take a deep breath. Exhale. Let's do that 2 more times. In. Exhale. One more time. Inhale. And exhale. We told you that you'd be drinking from a fire hose, and we delivered. We have one more special thing we're going to do this morning. Please don't kill the guitar with the couch. And then we have Rockin' Moroccan Food Truck, one of my favorite food trucks, as well as Taco Bros, which is also one of my favorite food trucks. And during the lunch hour, we're doing songs and poems that Porch Light and Charlene, are you in the room? Charlene, are you here? Charlene Provolis, as well as the Porch Light folks, are going to have some songs. Because it's raining, we were going to do it outside by the creek, but we're going to do it in the bamboo room, which is back here. And Zach Winters, a lot of Lowland Hum, a lot of beautiful songwriters and poets will be there while you eat some good tacos and Moroccan food. But now that I've made everybody hungry, I'd like to welcome Victory Boyd and Jason and Victoria Evigan from Elephant Heart to the stage. If they are ready, I might have caught them off guard. We're going to do a Makers and Mystics Live. Here's a question. Who listens to Makers and Mystics? Amazing. Awesome. Yeah. Well, you may have heard I did an interview with Victory, and then Elephant Heart has been on the podcast twice. Yeah, the replay. You listened to the replay. All right, good. But one of the things that I love about creativity is it's taking different elements, bringing it into the same space, and seeing what happens. So that's what we want to do in conversation today is see what happens when we mix different artists from different backgrounds and genres and have a conversation. So, yeah, everybody give them a hand. Victoria! There you go. And Jesus will sit there, I guess. It's the Holy Spirit, right? Yeah. There you go. So, hello, yes. Why don't you guys introduce yourselves, just tell us where you're from and kind of a bit about your background to get started.
I'm Jason. This is my wife, Victoria. I'm talking for you. But we're Elephant Heart from Los Angeles. And I'll leave it there for now.
And go ahead.
Hey, everybody. I'm Victory. I am in town from Dallas, Texas. Singer-songwriter, and just an artist overall. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, I'd love to start by asking you guys how Elephant Heart came into being.
Well, it's funny because Elephant Heart, we didn't know it was us. So Jason had an idea on our honeymoon, actually, he's like, I feel that there's this group I want to do called Elephant Heart that's just with my friends. And it's this, because he's a music producer as his professional career, but he's like, I want this to be like a fun project that's free with no boundaries. Mm. But it wasn't until how many years later? 6 years later, really, wow. That Jason and I started 5 years on our wedding anniversary, we started to make some music together just for fun. And then our friends and family were saying, you guys this has to be a thing. And I'm like, what? I can't do this. I can't be a singer. That's no. And we had someone ask us once we started had 4 songs under our belt. They're like, what is this called? And Jason looked at me and was like, this is Elephant Heart. And like we didn't know that it was given to him on our honeymoon, and it was being preserved until we realized that we were Elephant Heart together. I guess. Is there anything to add to that?
No, it was one of those things because I had been in a band for years. My whole life I was in bands, and when I had my God encounter, I was like, all right, I don't want to be at the spotlight anymore. I'd rather be behind the scenes and not that. So it was definitely like, I remember not wanting to do it. I was like, I just want to be, I'm cool back here now. I got a successful career going. I don't need to like go out and try to strive and be an artist again, And I had friends coming over. It was like, I feel like I was having like prayer interventions. People were like, let's pray for Jason, and like, come on over. And we'd have like these like, we pray, and then God just kept giving visions of what it could be like, and he would show me all different types of like, even like color schemes of what I remember he's like showing us what the color schemes would be like for the project, and how, you're gonna kind of just help people encounter God through this new sound of music. So I was like, all right, we're doing it. And
that's amazing.
So it's that.
That's awesome. And Victory, you've been doing music. You said last night you were singing professionally since you were 4 years old. Is that right?
Yeah, that's when I started.
Tell us about that journey. Like your whole family, I know you and I have talked a bit about this on the podcast, but your whole family are musicians, and you guys did some street singing and things like that. Is that right?
Yeah. So,
tell us about that.
Yeah, so we're originally from Detroit, Michigan, and I'm one of 9 kids. So
wow.
I have 4 brothers and 4 sisters, and I happen to be the 4th child. So I have 5 younger siblings, and we were a choir all by ourselves. Yeah, our dad would he would create music spontaneously around the dinner table, and he would dole out harmony parts, and just when you thought there was not another possible harmony that you could add to the mix, that's when he would find some other motif somewhere that can fit, and just, it was like he was a painter. But he was a painter too, like an actual painter. But he was a melodic painter too. And so we were like his different colors, and he trained our voices. I remember when I was 15 years old. So at this point I had been singing for 11 years. And my voice changed, but not only did it change, it was damaged, and it was just like monotone. I couldn't, like, it was just like flat. I didn't have range. It was just stripped of all color. And so my dad was like, we got to train your voice from the bottom up. I used to be a first soprano. I would just only sing the high notes. And so we started training from the bottom.
Come on.
And we would go deeper and deeper and deeper. But that's when I asked God, because my pride was I worked hard to be a singer my whole life, and now suddenly I have nothing to show for 11 years of, working towards this craft. And so I was like, I made a promise to God. I said, you know what, God has the ability to give me a voice. And I said, God, if you give me a voice, I'll sing for you forever. I literally told him, I said, it's better to have a voice and sing for God forever than to not have a voice and sing for no one. So I said, yeah, that's what I'll do if I get a voice. And then I said, well, if you're going to give it to me, would you make it a very unique voice? Because this is like, I may or may not get it, but if I do, it will be because of you. And would you make it like this? And so I had this very detailed list of exactly what I asked God for in a voice. And about a year later, everything that I asked for, people started coming up to me telling me that this is what they hear in my voice. And that always reminded me of my promise to God. Okay, now I got to hold my end of the bargain.
Wow.
So, yeah.
There's something about, just to talk more about the voice thing real quick, because there is something here, because when I was a kid, I had a really bad stuttering problem. And the only time I wouldn't stutter was when I was singing.
Wow.
And I feel like, this is when I was a full atheist and had no idea about any of this stuff, but it was the only time I had confidence in my voice. And I feel like there is really something there about like God wanting you to sing. And then with this project, it was like even, didn't you have like a sozo or something with the throat thing?
I've always been afraid to use, well, I never wanted to be a singer in front of people, for one, because I'm like, that just seems scary. And then I felt like the devil used my voice in a bad way, like, because I felt like I was very cutthroat and like direct, and through God, just helping soften me and help me use my words to like bring life and breathe life into people. And I feel like with this music, God used me singing to release and like open my throat and open my words to release healing to myself. Because a lot of our songs are like God singing and healing me through real situations.
Yeah.
I'm just so honored and happy that it transcends into other people's stories as well. But yeah, he's healed me through my own voice and our own words. And I've had this like opening of like, wait, I'm supposed to shine for you. Like I was afraid of shining. We were kind of talking about that in the back. Because I didn't want it to be about me. But there was like this weird struggle line of, but you got to be out there for God to use you. So it's all about your intention of why you're going out there in the spotlight for something. So
Yeah.
Let there be.
I was thinking that too.
Yeah. That's amazing. So all of you are communicating a story here where there was a voice and then not a voice and then a renewed voice. It's almost like even in your stories, as different as they are, there's this encounter. There's this calling something from within you that maybe you didn't even know you had, and calling that out, but then also leading you beyond yourself. And I love, Victoria, I relate so much to what you were saying about how the music was initially part of your own healing process. It was for you, but then that translates. And I think that's such a key for the arts, is that sometimes it can be for us, but then it's also so much bigger than us at the same time. And if we're faithful just to follow that trail and to let it be what it is for us, we can't see the full picture at that time, Go ahead, you have a thought?
Well, I just thought it was so profound, this let there be concept that you shared yesterday and that we're piggybacking off of. And like you, Victoria, when you're talking about the singing, and it's like allowing the healing to wash over you, and it's like the singing is the proof that you're allowing it to happen, because you could just stay silent, and it's like God is like, let there be healing.
Yes, so good.
But it's like, it's up to you to allow to let there be healing.
Yes.
And it's like, when you start to sing in agreement with what he's singing over you, that's when the manifestation starts to come forth. And I just think that, it's so profound, it's like and then when you agree and you let there be healing, it's not just released over you, but it's released over all that's under the sound of your voice. And then they sing it, and then they let the healing come and manifest in their lives. And it's just like, whoever will agree and let it be, because he's already spoken it.
I get tears thinking about the songs that God sang to me to remind me of who I am. And say, like, use your voice. Like, you are a light. And to get to sing that to other people and see their little lights turn on is like,
oh my gosh.
Whoa. That's like,
I mean, honestly, your song Warfare, that for me, I'm just listening to the words of warfare and just that whole journey. And if you guys haven't heard the song Warfare, maybe they'll hear it tonight. So that's that for me, that I found myself even finding freedom of thought processes in my own life through that.
Yeah, some of our music, it's kind of different, because I do feel like I've made this like warfare music that, like, you really need to silence the devil, and I need that song that's a little more angsty and like, no, you get out. 'Cause I feel like there's been a battle in my mind my whole life, and I realize the devil wants to just steal and pillage and take my voice and or twist it, manipulate it, and use it for all the wrong things. So that warfare song is very much like, nope. We used to always start our set with warfare, because growing up not wanting to be a singer and like have that, Jason was like, how are you going to even do it? Like, actually, because I couldn't even sing in front of my family on Thanksgiving, like years ago. So I'd always sing with warfare just to remind, in case. I'd just clear it and just like, no, you're here, you're a vessel, so don't worry about whatever is coming out. So.
Well, I follow you guys on Instagram, so some of this crying and going off stage stuff is a little different than what I see now. So there was maybe a breakthrough.
Okay, when I first met her family, which is crazy, like the Thanksgiving, it's all just, everyone's jamming and playing instruments and like, come on up stage. And I get in the family and I'm like, sure, I love playing music. So I get up there and I'm singing. They're like, come on, Vic, come up here and sing. And Vic, yeah, we sang in secret. But then she gets on stage and literally like freezes up stage as a porch. And she walks off crying. And it was like, and then I remember we started making this music, and our first show was at this big festival. I was like, how is she gonna do that? I mean, the last time I saw her on a stage, she just walked off. And I remember, we were playing at Lightning in a Bottle, this big festival, and it was like sunset. And she gets on stage, and I'm watching her, and I was like almost tearing up, and I stopped. I was like, who is this? Who is this? You know, I was so proud of her. Just my wife, just
That's
like, wow,
amazing.
All right, so I'm rambling, but yeah, it's cool.
That's awesome. Well, listen, one thing that I want to touch on, and then we can kind of move from there, but you guys, context is something that is so important to the creative process, and something that I appreciate about you is that the context, all three of you, in which your music is shared, really breaks boundaries and really goes into different spaces. I know, Victory, you signed with Jay-Z back in 2016. I think, if I'm not mistaken, you have some lyric writing credits on Kanye's Jesus is King. So you kind of moved into that space. I know you guys are doing a lot of Coachella and Bonnaroo and all these amazing, festivals, the festival scene. And, that's why, honestly, I was really honored that you guys would come to our community and be a part of the Breath in the Clay, because we're just like this little ragtag renegade community in the space between all these worlds. Yeah. But something I'd love to hear from you, to even leave with our friends, is I don't know if it's like encouragement, I don't want to say advice, but what kind of encouragement can you give to the artists that have gathered here and the artists that are going to listen back to what we're doing, to just encourage them to keep going with the weird thing that they've got in their heart that breaks boundaries, that doesn't fit boxes, that maybe that they're afraid of their own voice, or they don't know how to get there? How can we help our friends to break through?
Yeah. Well, I just think of this scripture. It's found in Luke chapter 13, verse 30. And it basically, Jesus is saying that those who are the least in this world will later be found to be the greatest in the kingdom to come. And many who are the greatest in the world now will later be found to be the least in the kingdom to come. I think of this because a lot of times we measure value through the metrics of this world, but the metrics of this world do not reflect the metrics that will last in eternity. And our time here is very finite, but eternity is very long. And so when you look at yourself in the scheme of all eternity, it's like, well, the most meaningful thing that I can do is probably not make a lot of money. I mean, that's great if it's used for something that's actually eternally effective. But your money will not go with you in eternity, and nor will it matter necessarily to Jesus unless it's used for a purpose that's eternal. But I guess you'd be surprised how much a song can make an eternal difference, or a painting, or a story. You'd be surprised how much. I like to think of art as a container that encapsulates your life experiences. Well, at least when you're honest. It's a container that will live long beyond you do. And hopefully, when people unpack the contents of this container, they'll be able to find something useful in their journey. And that to me is like an eternal impact. You know, it's like I still sing Somewhere Over the Rainbow. I still sing songs that were like written in the 1600s or whatever. Like these containers somehow, and I know, like the first Noel, who knows? Like these were not rich people. These were just simple humans that had a revelation or a conviction, and they decided to document their existence in the form of a song or a writing or a story or a fable. And maybe they shared the fable or the song or the story or the painting with their little baby as they were being rocked to sleep. And then that baby grows up and remembers the song and shares it. And then eventually someone records it in that town. And then, you know, it's like, but who knows where it even originated from? Or like, I guess what I'm saying is that it's important to live and to document the life that you live through, in whatever medium you have. And live with the conscientiousness of eternity. Because life is passing, and probably it's not always art. Sometimes it's the smile, or it's the things you do that took a little extra effort, but you know it's going to make a bigger impact in the souls around you. And so I really believe that all of that is what's going to add up as the fruit that Jesus looks at in the end when he looks at the works that you've done. He's going to look at the fruit. And it's not always about how many people are shouting your name, because again, the people that are the greatest now, he's not measuring by those same metrics. And so, yeah, I just encourage you to adopt the metric system of heaven and the value system of heaven, and it will unlock the intention that you live each day with.
Good.
So good. One thing I'd add to that is always feeling like a strange, misunderstood girl growing up. I told you earlier that my mom's like, now that she knows like how much I do love God, she's like, I always mistook your creativity for rebellion.
Yeah.
And so I would encourage anyone to really, like, we're all made so different.
Yes.
Like I think you seconded what you were saying about the let, or maybe you said it. If you are called to make hymns and love, do that. That's great. But if you like a certain style of music or a certain type of art, ask God to like make it holy and beautiful, you know, and be in alignment with your creator, but you can make things that have your personality in it. You know, we're not all gonna look the same. Like heaven's gonna be a crazy party of
Come on.
the most amazing instruments all over the world,
Yes.
different tongues, different languages, different cultures.
Yeah.
We're gonna be shocked. And, you know, so I just would encourage you guys to really make sure you're not really unleashing yourself the way God uniquely made yourself
So
to
good.
be.
Yeah.
You know?
So good.
Mine might be a little more controversial, but
Let's go.
okay, so when I had my, so I've been making music forever, and I have this moment where I meet God, and it's like my life has changed, and it's incredible, and I need to tell everybody about it. And now I'm in sessions with hip hop artists and rock bands and all these different people, and I'm like, dude, I'm a Christian, and people are like, oh man, And I'm like, no, you don't understand. Like, and every time I try to tell them about it, I'm getting nowhere. I'm hitting walls. Like, my life is getting great, but every time I talk about it, people are just pushing away from me. And a friend of mine introduced me to this guy who became an amazing mentor of mine. And I was telling him about this, and he's like, why do you call yourself a Christian? And I was like, because Christ, because Jesus Christ, his last name, he's and I have no idea what's going on. And he's like, all right, I'll tell you what, if you could tell me one place where Jesus tells his followers to call themselves Christians, I'll give you $1,000 tomorrow. So I'm like, yeah, we went home and we're like looking it up, trying to find it. I'm like, I don't see it, I don't know where it is. So I come back and he's like, just do me a favor. Next time you're in these sessions, and it's funny, but you said yesterday, he's like, just call yourself a follower of Jesus, because see how the doors open. And dude, it was like night and day. People were like, oh, what's that? What's that? I've talked to Muslims, I've talked to Jews, everyone. People would always be like, oh, and then it was like the door was open, so I could actually express and open up the beautiful message that's getting missed so much because of these trigger words or different things.
Right.
Totally.
And he's like, Jesus said, follow me. He didn't say, call yourself this, So that was a huge game changer for me. And I think in the world the space that we're in, people are like, oh man, you're different, you're this. And I'm like, oh yeah, like, are you religious? I'm like, oh, I'm a follower of Jesus. And people are like, oh, it's really crazy how it's just shifted our whole, ministry and going all around the world, talking to people about it. So that was a really big one for me. And I mean, everything you guys said is on the more creative, spiritual level. But that just, I think, for existing in the world that we're living in, it's helped a lot. No.
That's beautiful. Well, listen, I know everyone is hungry for some tacos and Moroccan food. At least I am. And man, thank you guys so much. Can we just give a round of applause for Victory, for Elephant Hearts? Yeah. And I just honor what all you guys are doing. I'm a huge fan. It's an honor that you guys just get to come and be with us. And I look forward to seeing what comes next. And tonight, don't come thinking you're going to come sit in these chairs. Let's just get that on the table right now. The context is about to change tonight. All right? We ain't here just to talk about stuff. We're here to do some stuff, right? So,
Better come dance with us. That's
yeah.
what we're
We're going to dance tonight. I'm going to dance. Just saying. All right. Hey, you guys can go on. I just have a couple of house cleaning notes to tell you. So, dun 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 dun. All right. Food trucks are they out front or are they on the side? They're out front. So the food trucks are out front. Workshops start at 2 p.m. The rooms are in your programs to find your way. If you are signed up for the visual art workshop, it starts at 1:30, so you have to get there a little earlier. And I think that is all the announcements we have for now. There is going to be some music and poetry in the bamboo room, and you are encouraged to get your food and join us in there. Say that one more time. Yes, concert begins at 7 o'clock tonight, and thank you guys so much.